Hello there, and welcome to this video in a different location with a different pair of headphones and no laptop. I've just got a notepad and some notes because, it turns out I can make mistakes with audio recording and, forget to do very minor things like, plug the headphones in. So, I'm here re-recording one of the earlier videos in this block of videos. So, I've mocked up some notes. Let's get stuck in. So this video specifically was supposed to be about a combo of Christmas Day, what I got up to on Christmas Day 25, and also the musicals that I watched last year. So let's see what I got up to last year. So let's start with Christmas Day because, to be quite honest with you, I still find the magic in Christmas. In terms of me and my life, so to add a bit of context, I don't have children. I'm not an uncle. I wouldn't say I'm invited round to households at Christmas with children running around opening presents. So the sort of my relationship with Christmas has evolved over the years somewhat. However, probably in more recent years, I've come to appreciate the fact that I can still find a lot of magic in Christmas, and fundamentally, for me, getting to spend time with the people that I care about the most is really where the magic is sort of found. And with that being said, another thing, naturally that you end up doing on Christmas Day, you're spending social time, you're eating, you're watching things on the TV. Also, I think sitting down for a film, for a lot of people it might be The Grinch or Elf or Home Alone or Die Hard and so on and so on. There's so many films you can watch at Christmas that are very well suited to Christmas Day. But for me, I and the family that I was with, we got up to some slightly different things, at least for myself. So what did I watch last year Christmas Day? So we got The Snowman 1982. This is the animated short, I suppose you'd call it. It's the one with the David Bowie introduction that's added at the start. It's about 25 minutes long. This one I'd seen this a few times, I think, over the years. And I would say it's definitely something that it's not as easy to second screen as other films, because ultimately it's basically a silent film that's animated, and you get the song that comes in that you can kind of listen to, but really you're doing yourself a disservice if you're second screening this, because all of the magic happens on screen. And it's a style of animation that at least I've not really seen much of elsewhere, and I think it just still holds so much weight, like so much power in the animation. There's the added attachment of it being early 80s kind of production, so for me that adds a lot of charm to it. It's just such a beautiful piece of work that at 25 minutes it's pretty easily digestible. It's not a massive commitment. I would say on Christmas Day you can certainly have that around other things, as we ended up doing. So The Snowman, absolutely magical. I didn't learn until Christmas Day that there's also a sequel that didn't get round to watching on that day, but perhaps I'll make the time for it sometime in the future or next Christmas. But really, really beautiful animation. I think if you've not seen The Snowman 1982, make some time for it. Maybe whether it's at winter or next Christmas, because it's very, very special. So moving swiftly on down my list here, let's stay with animation. So another one we watched on Christmas Day was Once Upon a Snowman. So this is the Frozen short. I mean, we're literally talking about 5 minutes long. It's the origin story of Olaf. So in terms of my background with Frozen, interestingly, at the time I was watching this, I hadn't seen Frozen 1 or 2 properly in full. I've always been aware of like the Let It Go breaking through in culture and taking over the world, but I never sat down and watched the films. I suppose I'm never going back to the point of there's not really a lot of children in my life, so there's not really that kind of of course we'll put Frozen on the telly kind of access point for me to like sit down and watch Frozen. But having a sister that's also heavily into animation, she encouraged me to join her to watch Frozen. So although we didn't get to the Frozen 1 and 2 films on Christmas Day, we were able to make time for the Frozen short, so that at least we could have a sense of having watched Frozen on Christmas Day. Um, as a side tangent, we've ended up watching Frozen 1 and 2 this month, January 26th, so that may feature in a video in the future. But yeah, Once Upon a Snowman, it's interesting now re-examining this, having now, since watching this, having the context of the actual films, because I think if you watch this in isolation, maybe it's not really going to land as much. I probably would have had the benefit of watching this after Frozen 1 and 2 to have a little bit more insight into the character of Olaf. But having now seen Frozen 1 and 2, I can sort of kind of re-examine this and appreciate it as it's just more Olaf. And I'll be honest with you, I think I'm Team Olaf, because I found it very funny. Like, I remember we were sat down, we watched Frozen 1 and 2 back to back, and I think Olaf's he's just great. I think he's just brilliant. I loved him. So yeah, I think it's a great, well-written character, very charming, very. I was just thinking back to some of the random scenes with him in the Frozen movies, and yeah, he's very charming. So, Once Upon a Snowman, if you're looking for a little bit more Olaf and you weren't aware, there is a animated short on Disney Plus called Once Upon a Snowman, and it's essentially his origin story. And the interesting thing with it as well is, I believe the scenes in Frozen 1 maybe connect into Once Upon a Snowman, so you can kind of see in the background you've got can I get the names, Anna and Elsa, and some of the other characters going around while he's in the foreground. So that's quite an interesting added dimension there, bit of expanded lore on Olaf. But yeah, thumbs up for Once Upon a Snowman. And continuing with Christmas Day, I was introduced to Santa Claus the movie. This is a 1985 film. It's like essentially like the origin story of Santa Claus. So it's got a very practical feel to the film, I would say. There are some special effects in there, and what I appreciate about the special effects in this film were the fact that they're very clearly special effects, and they serve to enhance the scene in terms of adding a little bit of magic to it. If I can see that something's very obviously a special effect because it's trying to add a little bit of magic to a scene, then I'm quite happy for it to be very obviously a special effect. I don't have to have it blend in. So that was quite nice. It's set in New York City, which again is a theme with me ever since I've been to New York. I've sort of really appreciate anything that's kind of set in New York now, of which there's a lot of content that's set in New York. So yeah, you've got an origin story here of Santa Claus. You've got Patch the elf, getting himself involved with a shady businessman. Appearance of John Lithgow, Lord Farquaad himself, young Lord Farquaad. I thought he made me laugh. I thought his performance in this was very fun. So yeah, look, I think it's a fun, very easy watch Christmas Day film. Quite charming. Again, lots of like costumes and practical effects, or props, I should say, that I think just make it feel a little bit more lived in. I think when I'm watching a real life film with human actors, it's nice to have them actually in costumes and not being like CGI'd on a costume, if I may say. So yeah, it was very nice in that sense. So yeah, thumbs up for my Christmas Day 25. All three of them, I think it's, by my own sort of measurement, I think if you're a Christmas themed film and you're watched on Christmas Day, I think you just default to being a baseline and A, just because you can get that kind of magic feeling hopefully on Christmas Day from watching a Christmassy kind of thing. So I've given them all an A, but it's kind of a foregone conclusion because I watched them on Christmas Day. So that's kind of my philosophy with that. But yeah, had good fun with those three. Segueing on here into some of the musicals I watched last year. Continuing with the kind of the winter theme. So I was fortunate enough to watch with my sister in August Lion Witch on stage. This is the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe on stage 2025 in London. Lasts a few hours with intermission. Something I appreciate about stage is that you do get an intermission, unlike, if I may say, some films that want to keep you sat in the cinema for 3.5 hours without a break. But that's a different topic for another day. No, I really appreciated just I think if you've not been to the theatre and watched live performance, I just just recommend doing it at least once, because I just feel like you can really come to appreciate the fact that these people are performing live, and you don't get to go cut, go in the editing room, or do a reshoot. You're in live auditorium with a live audience, and you've got to nail what you're doing. So that adds to it. The fact it's musical, the fact it's wintry, you get props coming on stage. It's just such a magical experience, especially when I think it's a story like Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, which is going back to kind of a part of me and my sisters growing up, being exposed to those original Narnia films from when we were young. Kind of, I know that they're big in her mind, but certainly left a big impression on me as well. Those films, so it kind of all adds to the magic, I think, of seeing this on stage and seeing live performers deliver their version of it. So yeah, I had a really, really good time with Lion, Witch on stage. I put it right up there with other musicals I think we've seen over the years, things like Wicked, Lion King. So yeah, Lion, Witch on stage, big thumbs up for me. I'm giving it an A+. So, and then staying musical, the last one in this video is The Greatest Showman. So this is interesting because it's Hugh Jackman, so someone who traditionally I would associate as Wolverine. Growing up with him, he was always just Wolverine to me, and I've tried to expand myself to watch some more of him in other movies, which I've been able to do last year. And I thought he was great in this. I thought this was a very solid film. Comes in around 105 minutes, so it's just over my 100-minute bonus point threshold. But even without that, I don't think it overstays its welcome. You've got the setting and the kind of general plot of an American showman trying to start up a circus in 19th century America. I'm kind of already in at that stage, but then the fact it's Hugh Jackman, you've got other great support in the cast from Zendaya, Zac Efron, Rebecca Ferguson, and Keela Settle delivering that song, This Is Me. I mean, I was aware that that song had also kind of punched through into society in a similar way like Let It Go had. I think it become really big on YouTube and online, but there's just something that will always charm me about big performance being delivered through song and choreography, that will always put a smile on my face. And I thought it was absolutely magical. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it's fantastic for someone like Hugh Jackman, maybe that, if you grew up only knowing him as Wolverine, you sort of associate this sort of macho masculinity with him, that having him dancing around on stage and being a bit of a circus leader, it's quite refreshing for me. So yeah, really, really cool, good supporting cast, strong performances I think all round, and yeah, it's hard not to smile I think when you've got music on screen. So I give this also an A+. This was also something that I very, very much enjoyed my time with, and definitely moved me as well. So very, very happy with that. Yeah, all in all, musicals, Christmas, wintry theme, like there's so many I didn't get anywhere near on Christmas Day, but there's so many good ones, that come to mind. Nightmare Before Christmas, I mean, you name it. There's so many good options when it comes to Christmassy stuff, musicals, that I'd hopefully like to get to in the future. But yeah, that's just some of my thoughts there on those musicals and Christmas adventures I've got up to there on Christmas Day. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this video and say thank you for listening, watching, or however you may have consumed it, and hope to catch you in a future instalment. Until then, farewell.